Hey, how's it going guys? Jackson here with Toasty DIY, and today we are actually taking a look at a mini PC, which is something that we, would normally do on Toasty Bros, except we've looked at many similar PCs to this one, because mini PCs, well, they're getting fairly popular, and there's quite a few companies out there that are making very similar to each other PCs, but we're hoping that this Trigkey one is a little bit different here. So this is the Trigkey SPEED, and the exact model, which is right here, is the 8279, which is basically just the CPU model number. It's a 8th gen i5 that's actually a 4-core 8-thread, which is really interesting because it's 8th gen. And another thing that's kind of interesting about it is the actual integrated graphics. It has integrated Iris 655 graphics, which is kind of interesting just because, back then you were just typically looking at like 530, 430 HD graphics. So from what I've read, this shouldn't be too far off from like a Ryzen APU basically. So that'll be really interesting, because at first when I saw the price of like $450 to $550 bucks, I was like, okay, that's not that great. But then that it had those really good graphics. I saw that it has 16 gigs of RAM. I saw that it has a 512 gig SSD. It obviously has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and everything. And of course, it's a mini PC. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just get into this unboxing. We're just gonna see exactly what we get with this. Typically, it's just gonna be the mini PC and a power brick, and looks like, that's about what we got. Out of the box, we have a pretty nice and sleek looking mini PC. It looks like we have this i5 sticker on here. We have two USB 3s in the front. We have a USB-C in the front. We have a dual headphone jack. We have a power button, and then we have a CMOS clear button that you use like a paper clip for, which is kind of cool. On the back, we have a nice big radiator fan grill there. We have dual HDMI out that both support 4K, the DC jack in for power, two more USB 3s, and a LAN port, and then nothing on the sides except for exhaust/intake. I'm gonna go grab a screwdriver. I'm gonna take this thing apart real quick too. All right, so to open this guy up right here, it looks like we just have 4 screws in the bottom. There could be one underneath the sticker. But this one they actually did pretty good on the overall build quality. But let's actually see what we have inside. So one thing that I noticed right away, which is really cool because you don't typically see this, they actually have a 2.5-inch drive mount that basically has your SATA power and your SATA data ready to go on their standard. So you basically just slide in your 2.5-inch drive. You could add a terabyte, 2 terabytes, you could add a 512 gig, whatever you want. We actually have an NVMe SSD under here. Let's see if we can actually pop this up and see what kind we have. Alright, so it's a G-SEMI or GSME, 512 gig. It is a PCIe Gen 3 by 4, so pretty standard. It's good to know that it's actually like a legit 512 gig. Alright, now as far as the RAM goes, we actually have a very familiar brand. We have some SODIMM Crucial. Now this is a single stick of 16 gigs. It is DDR4 and it is 2666, pretty standard speed. It's not the slowest you can get, definitely not the fastest, but I mean it is Crucial, so that's nice that it's name brand. One thing that I don't love, but it's not the end of the world, is we only have a single stick of RAM. Ideally you want to have 2 of these. You want to have 2 so that you can run in dual channel rather than only running in single channel, which is going to lose you a little bit of gaming performance since this is just basically an Intel APU / integrated graphics system. But not the end of the world. We do have, like I said, this i5, and it is an 8th gen CPU. We also have Windows 10 pre-installed on it, and that's pretty much it as far as like the tech specs go. I think at this point we just need to actually load up maybe a couple of games and applications on this and just see how she does. Alright guys, so we just did some benchmarking of this mini PC, and you know, overall in gaming it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. I mean, we were able to play Minecraft, we were able to play CSGO, you can play games like Valorant, but we are going to have to do like 1080p super low settings, or just go 720p like medium high settings. So yes, games are playable, they just aren't, you know, the greatest experience. This definitely does not perform on par with like something like a Ryzen like 3200G, but it's not too far behind it. And the fact that you have the 4-core 8 threads definitely would be great for office work and like multitasking. You know, you have your 16 gigs of RAM, you have an SSD, and you have a 4-core 8 thread. So you could definitely do like some light video editing. You could do a lot of Photoshop on this. You could do all kinds of internet browsing and emails and spreadsheet and maybe some like CAD work and whatnot. So, you know, for I'd say like around the $400 to $500 range, this PC is definitely pretty good, especially if you want to have like dual 4K display outs or anything like that. But if you're planning on buying something for gaming, you know, you can definitely spend better money on like a full-size system for around like the $500 range. That'll definitely put this thing in the dirt. So we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up and make sure you let us know in the comment section down below what you'd like to see next, and we will see you guys in the next one.